to judge a humorous speech contest. Gary Gardner.
Today, you are going to be inundated with how to judge a contest. Because Pam and I are giving the same speech.
You betcha.
It's how to be a judge, how to judge, and in front of you, you have a humorous speech contest form. The form is divided into 3 separate sections, well, not more than that really, but the form, it has 100 points possible for any given speech. And there are criteria under each section. The first criteria is speech development. It's about structure, organization, supporting material, visuals, those kinds of things. So when you're listening to the speaker, it's important to understand that there's not just one criteria that you're going to be judging the speech by, but 10 separate criteria that you're going to judge the speech by. And I'm going to go through them and try and use
It's all right there.
an anecdote to help relate. Content is really important in giving a speech. So one of the best speeches I have ever seen in my entire life was on vasectomy. And the guy did an amazing job with a PowerPoint presentation with pictures using fruit as surrogate for certain genitalia, and this discussion about his children and not having more children. But by selecting this topic, even though it was by far and away the best speech of the night, there was no way in God's green earth he was going to win, because he offended both genders by giving the speech on a topic that frankly nobody really wanted to hear about in the detail to which he presented. So content and structure and understanding what somebody is going to speak about, when you are making a speech, make sure that it's going to be something that appeals to the entire audience. Effectiveness, achievement of purpose, interest, and reception. If you have a good speaker, one of the things I always look for is when they use pauses, and I'll demonstrate this in a few moments. When they use pauses, what do they do? A good speaker, when he really is on, people actually will move forward, or something will happen, and they'll actually, their bodies will begin to move with the movement of the speech. So how effective and how well are they being received? Are people talking, or are people paying attention? Are they engaged? Speech value. This is ideas, logic, and original thought. Everybody is looking for original thought. One of the things that one of our members always says, I never know, Pam, what I'm going to get when I go to a Toastmasters meeting. Sometimes it's absolutely brilliant. Last week, Gene came up, I think it was authored last week, a phrase. Does anybody remember what it was?
Do it or dump it.
Do it or dump it. That, everybody remembers that. We all walked away. Do it or dump it. But don't worry about it. We all remember that. Audience response, I talked about that, but if this is a humorous speech contest and they're not laughing, we think we might have a problem. Obviously. Physical. Appearance, body language, and speaking area. So in clubs, we have setups like this, and we have a tendency to, basically stay here. We might come out a little bit. When you're in a speech contest, the chief judge will say to you, this is the area, the speaking area. So if we say in our club, the speaking area ends on this edge of the table and I move beyond this, I get dinged because I just stepped off the stage.
You get disqualified.
I just died. So you must stay within the speaking area. Now, most people will move laterally. The key in a good speech is to move forward, engage somebody or some people. Is he ever gonna talk again? But as you move forward, they should make their point, then they retreat back, re-engage, and continue. Also in physical movement, if you traverse, stop, make a point, traverse, stop, make a point. So using the entire speaking area is very important. It's one of the things that we often lack because in our club, we usually don't have as much room as if you had a stage. Voice. Flexibility and volume. How many times have we talked about vocal variety? Now you all know, I mean, my propensity is to be a little louder. And so when I give a speech, I have to focus on maybe moving forward and talking a little more slowly and a little quieter to try and draw my audience in so they'll pay attention to what I'm going to say next. So vocal variety has tremendous impact. It can make the difference because if you have this, yes, the most scintillating, humorous speech on the planet, and you talk in a manner that's just like this, it really was fun. You should have seen the toes that was on that person, and really, you know, it might be funny, but you know, if it's delivered in a flat monotone, you're never going to like it. So what is it that they're doing with their voices to engage you? Manner, directness, assurance, and enthusiasm. The single biggest and most important element in giving a public speech is enthusiasm. If you do not have passion about what you're speaking, if you're not locked into the material personally, what is the most, last week, we saw a tremendous speech from Heller. What was so impactful about it? How committed was she to that? She actually cried in her speech. Not sobbing tears, but she was emotional. She was connected to the material. What was even more interesting, she probably was surprised at how connected she was. So we enjoyed the fact that she was connected, and we enjoyed the fact that she was actually probably quite surprised to find out how connected she really was to the story. So being committed in this process is important. Enthusiasm is incredibly important. Appropriateness. I have spoken to this already, but if you pick a topic that's political, religious, sexual in nature, you're probably going to turn your audience off. I spoke not too long ago on Table Topics about a speech at the district 3 years ago about a woman who spoke on rock climbing and competing with her brother. And literally she could have taken that 6 to 8 minute speech, or sorry, 5 to 7 minute speech and gone on the biggest comedic stage in the world. It was that funny. It was, we were all dying laughing by the end of the speech. And correctness. This is my least favorite category. Grammar, pronunciation, and word selection. It's the most difficult to judge because we understand grammar, and when we hear it, we go, ooh, I speak good. That will turn a lot of people off instantaneously, and you will lose. Now let's talk about judging in general. Well, let's look at the form a little more. On the form, there's a place for you to sign and date. If you don't do that, your ballot is thrown away. So it's very important that you put your name and that you print your name, sign it, and print your name. There's no dating, sorry. So from my perspective, it's really important that you sign the thing at the beginning before you do anything else. So your ballot actually counts. The other thing is that if you have multiple speakers, like you're in a district contest, and there are 8 speakers, propensity is like any judge sport to not give as many points to the first speakers. So there's a distinct advantage to being one of the later speakers. So try and eliminate that natural human bias to be more reserved in the beginning. I hope these points are helpful to you. You're going to all be judging in about 2 weeks, so have fun with it.